Om Shri Sai Ram. Sai Ram, everyone. We will start the session with a few prayers. I will be saying the prayer. I think all of you may be familiar with the prayer, but in any case, what I would like to do is I'm going to repeat line by line, and I would like you to follow along. Okay. I will leave some space for you to follow. Sai Ram. We'll start with 3 Om Karams. We will be chanting the shloka for Ganesha, praying that no difficulty comes and stops us in this journey of learning. And then we will pray to Mother Saraswati, who is the goddess of all learning. And then we will chant a prayer called Sahana Bhavatu, which traditionally the Vedic teachers and students have chanted together. And I will go over the meanings of them in brief, and then we'll continue with the class. Sai Ram. I have muted all of you. I will unmute you all when the Q&A session starts, which will be at 10 o'clock. Until then, if you have to say something, please raise your hand, and then we can talk. But I would rather do the 1 hour talk and then go to the questions. Thank you very much, Sai Ram. Vakratunda Mahakaya Surya Koti Samaprabha Nirvignam Kuru Me Deva Sarvakayeshu Sarvada. Saraswati Namastubhyam Varade Kamarupini Vidyarambham Karishyami Siddhir Bhavatu Me Sada. Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahano Bhunaktu Saha Viryam Karavavahai Tejasvina Padhitamastu Ma Vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. I'll go to the first prayer which we chanted, which is Vakratunda Mahakaya, which is a description of Lord Ganesha, Vakratunda, who has a curved trunk, Mahakaya, whose body is enormous, huge, big. Surya Koti means a million suns, so you can say 10 million suns. Koti is crore in English. but it's not used very much outside of India. Samaprabha, whose effulgence is equal to that of a crore of suns. Nirvignam means, Vigna means any obstacle. Nirvignam means obstacle-lessness. Kuru means do. Medeva, my Lord, oh my Lord, make sure that there are no obstacles in my path. Sarva karyeshu sarvada. Sarva karyeshu means every action. Karya means action. Sarva means all. In all the actions, sarvada, always. So it's a prayer to Ganesha, Lord Ganesha, who we pray to before we start any endeavor, so that there are no obstacles in our path. Saraswati Namastubhyam. Saraswati is the mother or goddess Saraswati, one who resides by the banks of a river or waters or lake. Saras means any water body. Namastubhyam means to you. Tubhyam, to you. Namaha, I am bow down. Varade, one who grants all wishes. Kama Rupini, he also is the anything which we desire, she becomes that. She grants that also. Vidyarambham. Vidyarambham means we are starting a learning process. Karishyami, I am starting. Karishyami. Siddhir bhavatu. Siddhi means accomplishment, completion, or attainment. Bhavatu me sada. Let there be always, let me accomplish my goals of starting this journey of learning. Saira. So Sahana Vavatu, I think all of you may know it as a Shanti Mantram. It's as popularly called or known. It is a prayer which a person who instructs, teacher, and the students chant together. The prayer basically says, let protect us together. Let the togetherness of this class be protected. Saha na Vavatu. It's now avatu. Avatu means protects. Sahana, please protect us all together, both of us, all of us. Sahanau bhunaktu. Please nourish us, please give us the energy and the strength or the ability to study. Bhunaktu. Saha viryam karavavahai. Let us be full of energy. Viryam means energy, strength, great ability. Please make us have that ability to study. Tejas Vinau means let us become effulgent ourselves. Adhitamastu. Let us expand, let our energy of knowledge or the effulgence of knowledge, the brightness of knowledge, let it expand. Ma vid vishavai. Let there be no enmity or any negative emotions between us. So from this you can see in the path of learning, in any lesson, everyone is learning. Though I have sort of taken on the role of sharing what I have learned before, it is a journey for me as well, because this will improve my own knowledge, my own understanding. And that is the main reason I have taken this upon. So we are all students, including myself. I hope you understand that, and we will proceed. Thank you very much. So I would like to share a few things. You all have signed up. About 60 of us have signed up when this was announced. So I should tell whether I have any qualification to share my knowledge, and what are the limitations in my knowledge also. You see, it so happened with Swami's blessings, I got to start learning Sanskrit in the year 1970. After I started learning Tamil, which is my mother tongue, the second language which I learned was Sanskrit. It was because my father, who listened to some of Swami's discourses, felt that all of us, his children, should learn Sanskrit because Swami wants it. So he found a place in the Ramakrishna Mission. They were conducting Sanskrit classes, and we were enrolled. 6 or 7 years of my age. So from then I have been learning Sanskrit, and I have taken a liking to it. So I had learned from 1969 in the Ramakrishna Mission, and then our Balavikas and Sri Lanka also introduced Sanskrit as a subject during the Balavikas program, because it was something which Swami has taught. So I happened to have the opportunity of learning Sanskrit till 1979 in Sri Lanka, 69 to 79. And thereafter, when I joined Puttaparthi as a student, I chose Sanskrit as a subject. So I did studied in +2, and then I continued it in degree as well. I could have pursued it as a master's degree, but Swami had not suggested that or told me that, because of that I did not continue, because though I was interested in it. So that was my knowledge of learning Sanskrit. And after that, I have been in touch with Sanskrit. However, not to the extent I would love to. The opportunities of learning did not show up. So I would say it sort of reached a dead end of sort, not dead end. It did not improve. But I have done some self-study over the period, over the past few decades. But I wouldn't say I am very knowledgeable in Sanskrit. I have basic knowledge only. So I have decided to share it, because I thought, because there were few devotees who have asked me, can't you share? So initially I was very hesitant. About 3 years ago, we started at our center, Scarborough Center. A few devotees had signed up and we shared. And the material was sitting around, and again, the request came. So that's how we have started. So you should understand, language is an ocean. Just like English, we all can speak and understand English to some extent, but our knowledge of English is also limited to a great extent. There may be words which we don't know. There may be grammatical aspects and usage we don't know. So it's an ocean. There's so much literature none of us have studied. So it's the same thing. So I am hoping that these sessions will help me improve and refine my own knowledge of Sanskrit. I hope you pardon me for any mistakes in what I am teaching. And if you want to pursue anything higher or more advanced or deeper, I can provide you some resources and you can continue. Okay, with those words, let's start the lesson. I thought it's very important that we also know why we are joined and why we should. Because as I mentioned, Swami is very, very particular and encouraged a lot. So I thought I will just share a few quotations, because these sessions are going to be of Sanskrit lessons, all about what Swami has talked about the language, and any of the verses and verses Swami has recited during his discourses, or any of the shlokas which Swami has embedded in the writings, and any of the Sanskrit words which Swami has used. These are all which we will explore, because the whole purpose of learning Sanskrit is to enhance our understanding of what Swami has been teaching us. Okay. So in 1968, 18th of May, as you can see, during the First World Conference, Swami spoke a lot about Sanskrit. I don't know whether many of you know, the first discourse, the inaugural discourse of Swami delivered during the First World Conference, for the first few minutes was in Sanskrit. He says this occasion demands that Swami speak in Sanskrit, at least start the discourse by Sanskrit, and he speaks a few sentences in Sanskrit so that Sanskrit is given the rightful place as the Sri Sathya Sai organization is growing, expanding around the world. And in the discourse on the 18th, he says, it is one of the basic requirements for every Sai center to learn or provide facilities to learn Sanskrit by elders and children. So these were his words. This was at the World Conference. So you should understand that it applies to the entire universe, entire world. So I thought I would just recollect that, because Swami says all the Shastras are in of Sanatana Dharma, which is what Swami came to renew and teach, the eternal universal religion, if you want to call it, it's all in Sanskrit. So without the knowledge of Sanskrit, complete, proper, and full understanding of the scriptures will not be there. Swami is repeated many times. I will look at a few more quotations. I thought we all should know that we are trying to do something which Swami has instructed us to do. So that itself is a prayer. That's its offering to Swami, and our devotion also, I would say. So these are a few quotations. There are hundreds of quotations. I just picked up a few. As you can see in Prema Vahini, this was the first Vahini which Swami wrote in 1958 and 59 in the Sanatana Sardi magazine. Swami says they dismiss Sanskrit as a language, very hard to learn. And in India, Swami is talking about Indians, they will say it's very difficult, we won't learn. And he says people from other lands are coming and learning. That is, many foreigners, Westerners have gone and studied. People like Max Muller and so on have gone and studied scriptures. They've learned the language and also studied the scriptures. And then Swami says when they are coming and learning, it's sad. It's a sad spectacle that Indians are not learning. It was something Swami wrote in 1958. Then in the Sathya Sai Vahini, Swami says, when you have to learn, when you learn to slake the thirst of the nectar offered by the Vedas, you have to learn Sanskrit, Swami says. If you really want to learn the Vedas, you have to learn Sanskrit. Then Swami says, as in 2006 during the Ati Maharudram, so when Swami said everyone should chant and learn Rudram, we all listen to that and then we go about learning the Rudram. But there are some sentences which we sometimes ignore. So as Swami said, as a prelude to learning the Vedas, one has to acquire knowledge of Sanskrit, the language of Vedas. Even though Swami gave the instruction that everyone should learn Rudram, Swami also said there's a prerequisite, which is Sanskrit. Only then your learning of Rudram will be meaningful and proper and correct. Okay, so these are things which I thought I will just share. So anyone interested in learning the Vedas or chanting, or even just prayers, even singing the bhajans, knowledge of Sanskrit will come in handy for everyone. Okay, I thought I will just share that. So I would start with the topic of what's language. Modern day linguists have variety of, I hope you all don't mind me giving this sort of an introduction, because I thought it is very important, because all the people who have studied, signed up to learn Sanskrit are all mature. So I think sometimes the approach is a bit intellectual. So I thought I would introduce some of these things which actually Swami has spoken about, because it's also an opportunity for us to learn what Swami is teaching. So I would first start with the topic of what is language? How did it originate in this world? Swami says the divine energy manifested in series of steps. Swami uses the one sloka, one verse, but I will just take the first line of that verse. Shabda Brahmamayi, Characharamayi, Jyotirmayi, Vangmayi. This is actually Swami is talking about the Ashta Lakshmis, the 8 forms, manifestation of Lakshmi, wealth, I would say. Swami starts with Shabda Brahma Mayi. That means this entire universe came from what's called Shabdham, sound itself. Okay, so the sound is the first thing which originated in this world. All creation took place from that Shabdham. So that Shabdham is present in everything which we see around us. Okay, so that Shabda Brahmamayi, original sound was just in the space it came. Okay, the vibration existed. Swami also calls it vibration. Then Chara Charamayi, then it moved and it did not move. Chara means to move, Achara means not to move. Chara Charamayi, then that thing which originated as Shabdam started moving, and it also stayed and it moved. So when we look at the alphabet also, we will come to this Chara Chara. So it starts moving. Then Jyotirmayi, that means light. Jyoti is light. So what happens is this things which moved became, it had light emanating from it, became Jyoti, it became light. That means only when the light comes, it's visible. With before, see the space, Akasham, where the shabdam or sound is, space, you cannot see or hear or do anything. You can only listen. Then Characharamaya means it moves, so you can feel it because it's vibration, air. Then comes Jyoti, which is light, fire. Okay, only then the eyes are able to see. Then comes Vangmayi, speech. Okay, which is actually an embodiment of light, water, the water element. Because Vang comes from our mouth. Vak also it's called. So the Vag is nothing but speech. So what happens is, the theory is that before we speak, the will or the decision comes apparently in the Nabhi. Nabhi is called the navel, okay, where it actually originates. And the thought itself actually originates from there. Then it moves up, okay, and then it comes to a point of a throat where it takes a form. The words get formed in our throat, and then it comes through the mouth on our tongue as speech. So that is how it happens. This phenomena is applicable to everything in this world, whether a bird or an animal. All of them are actually speaking. We may not understand, but the thing is, all of them, this phenomena of how sound originates and manifests is common to everyone. So Swami says that is the way language itself developed. So the Om is supposed to be the original sound, which has become all these words and letters which we speak. Okay. So as you can see, Shabda Brahmamayi is Brahman is present as vibration and sound. Charachara is the air element which moves the sound. Jyotirmayi, it's given form and energized by the fire element. And Vangmayi, it's expressed by the tongue, the organ of water element. So everything, whether it's inanimate or animate, even any inanimate thing, a cup or something, a spoon, everything has sound, because if you tap them, you will hear the sound. So that means the sound was already present. It is just, it's expressed when you move it or tap it. Okay. So this sound, why it is important is, this sound actually allows us to connect to the world, connect to other people, connect to God. So in the modern day world, people think language means just talking to one another, but its expression of emotion itself is sound. Even you're happy, people may just sing. In the bathrooms, all of us may be singing, because when we are happy, or when we are sad, also we talk to ourselves. So it's an expression of even talking to ourselves. So that is also communication with the Lord. So that is language. And so I thought I will just cover some of the topics which Swami has talked about. What language is, Saira. So now we will come to Samskrita as a language, Sanskrit. What is so special about Sanskrit? Why Swami is talking so much about Sanskrit? So I thought we will cover that. Again, based on what Swami, most of this, if anyone is interested, you can read many of Swami's Vahini. Swami has talked about this. Even some of the discourses where Swami has spoken about it. So Samskrita means something which is refined. Sam means refinement. Krita means to do. So that which is refined, or that which also refines, is called Samskrita. There's another word which is very common. It's called Samskriti, which is culture, is translated as culture, but it is that which is refined is called Samskriti. So if you're a cultured person, we have refined ourselves to an extent. And Swami says Sanatana Samskriti is the original, eternal, refined state. So the thing is, it's also capable of refining a student. By studying the Sanskrit, we also will be refined. That is what Swami says, the power of Sanskrit, because it's refined. So you may wonder why all the other languages are not refined. So the reality is, we should understand, if you take, for example, a diamond, the diamond in its natural state is dark and it people may think it's a stone. But people who understand the value of it, they start polishing it and cutting it, and then the diamond starts shining. So that is the process of refinement. So if you can see, diamonds may be present in many parts of the world, but how it is refined, polished, and cut so that the best, if the shine of the diamond comes, is specialized in some countries by some people. But the reality is the diamond was already present, but it has been brought to light. It has been discovered. The cover has been removed and it is shining. So what happened was, great rishis actually were able to refine it. Okay, and through that refinement came a product which is so refined. By studying and understanding that refined product, we ourselves will be refined. That is Sanskrit, and we will touch some of these concepts later on also. So actually, if you study the language you will find how scientifically it has been developed. And also it has covered all various types of sounds human being can produce, and not all sounds, because some of the sound is noise. I'm speaking means I am only choosing certain sounds which are being communicated. Only then you can understand. If I blabber or make all sorts of noises, even though they are noises, it won't make any sense. So that itself is a refinement. Okay, but it covers and it's very well defined, and its impact is also scientific in terms of our physical health, the health of the person who receives, and so on. Some of them we will, as we go along, we will touch upon. The grammar also you will find is very well developed and systematized. There is some science involved, but we will not go deep into grammar. This is going to be a basic course on it. Okay. And the thing is, the alphabet is very phonetic in the sense, if you read, you will know how to pronounce it. If you understand the linkage, there won't be any confusion. You don't need to rely on anyone else to tell you what the correct pronunciation is, because it's very, very phonetic. The alphabets are all distinct with distinct pronunciation. And by studying Sanskrit, you are opening up a treasure of great literature, spiritual literature. And so that is the uniqueness of Sanskrit, because there's no other language has the extent of philosophy and spirituality in terms of research and which rishis have done and produce books and writings which contain the best, the highest of truths. Okay, so that's the uniqueness of Sanskrit. Even the names of gods, there's no language has the names of gods which Sanskrit has. Even if you take Indian languages, even if they're using names of gods, actually they are all borrowed from Sanskrit, because Sanskrit as a language has produced so much. So even if we're saying bhajan, Swami says nama sankirtanam. Nama means names of gods. So without knowledge of Sanskrit, you can't even sing bhajans, because any other language, you take English, how many names of gods are there? You can say God, and maybe merciful or something like that, which is actually a translation. I'm not saying the other languages don't have the names of gods, but the collection, the vastness of the names of gods present in Sanskrit is not equal in any other language. Okay, sorry. So I will just touch upon the concept of Vedic versus classical Sanskrit, because I just want it to be clear. The Vedic language is identical to Sanskrit, classical Sanskrit, which we are going to explore. But the Vedic Sanskrit has something called accents, pitch. For example, Sahana Vavatu. So there are three accents, or four different accents which are used in chanting the Vedic mantras, because the accent also has meanings. Because if you change the accent, the meaning itself could change. And there are examples of them, but I will not go into that today. But so it has another element. I think there are other languages in the world, like the Chinese and so on. They are very particular about the accent. The same word told in three different ways can mean three different things. Okay. Even other languages we have accent, but we have not systematically studied it or used it. For example, why, we also use in our speech, but we are not very conscious. The that we are using accent, but it is not systematized. But in Sanskrit, it is systematized. Okay. So Vedic, especially Vedic Sanskrit. Vedic tradition was always about teaching things orally. Shruti it is called. It is the teacher teaches and the student repeats, and that's how they learn. Because there are nuances of sound production which cannot be written down and understood. So Vedic language has to be learned from another person through an oral tradition. They should speak and you should listen and then you should reproduce. That is the best way to learn Vedic language. People have attempted to write it down, but it's still not the same. Okay. Written form of Vedic literature came later on. Before, I think, when the classical Sanskrit became popular in the evolution of language, written form appeared. So it has been written down also. In classical Sanskrit, there is no pitch. There no distinction of pitch. And what we are going to cover is only classical Sanskrit. I'm not going to get into Vedic Sanskrit. I'm not qualified. My knowledge is almost elementary, so I will not go there. Unless you have some questions, I can point you to places you can go and learn. But if you learn the classical Sanskrit, learning the Vedic Sanskrit becomes easier because you will know the sound production, the letters, and then it becomes very, very easy for you to easily grasp the Vedic Sanskrit, because the only thing which you have to add is the pitch or the accent. Okay. So now I will just touch some of the topics which Swami has talked about, sound, how it evolved. So as I've already mentioned, sound is before the creation itself. Okay. Sounds are heard and reproduced by all living beings, which also I have mentioned. Learning a language starts with listening. Even as a child, the child basically listens to the adults and reproduces it. And that's how it learns. Every language in this world, including animals. Animals also make noise. They must have heard their own parents produce certain sounds and then they reproduce. Even though the ability to produce sound was natural, they refine it by listening to outsiders. Okay. So what Swami says is the rishis tuned themselves to such an extent they were able to listen to the Lord, the God who is present everywhere around them in this world. And by tuning themselves, apparently they heard 8 distinct sounds. Okay, they are A, Ka, Cha, Ka, Ta, Pa, Ya, and Sa. Okay, A, Ka, Cha, Ta, Ta, Pa, Ya, Sa. Swami says, these are the 8 sounds which they heard. And what Swami, this is a discourse from 3rd October 1899, 1989, if anyone is interested. Swami is speaking about it. And alphabets of all languages are actually developed like this only. That's why you'll say in our language also it's the same. Yes, it is. But the thing is, the limit to which we have taken them and refined them is different. That's all. So any language in this world you go, they have these sounds embedded in them. Okay. And I think on this point, I also wanted to mention, Swami has also said Sanskrit is the mother of all languages. So sometimes that becomes a very political discussion also, because people say, is this language before the other and so on, I think there are many Tamils will say Tamil is older than Sanskrit. There's a lot of political debates going on in this world. We will not go there. But the reality, when Swami says Sanskrit is the refined language, is the mother. Also, we should understand the mother does not necessarily give birth. For example, if we say our mother tongue, our mother nation, the country is our mother, we say. Is the country basically give birth to us as an individual? Not necessarily. But the thing is, it has a state of a motherhood. Why? Because it sustains us. It provides everything. The world around, earth around us produces food, which we eat and we live. Because that's what our mother also did. Our mother was someone who nourished us in her womb, gave us all the nourishment, and we grew. When we are born, then they feed us, cook and feed. So the mother means that which feeds everyone around them and nourishes, that is mother. So Sanskrit as a language had taken on the role of a mother because it is so well refined that it was able to help others also benefit from it. So that is why it has a status of mother, because it's so advanced, so refined, that we all can learn from it and improve ourselves and grow. And that is why Sanskrit is called the mother of all languages. Swami also calls it the Atma Bhasha, which is the language of the Atman. I think on this point, I also wanted to cover another quotation of Swami, which Swami said there's only one language, the language of heart. Okay, Swami says there's only one religion, the religion of love. So these are quotations which we all listen, and sometimes we may not understand them completely properly. See, for example, if I don't know English and you all don't know English, we cannot have this session. Okay, so then we can ask, so that means there's this language doesn't exist. This language definitely exists. English as a language exists. But when Swami says there's only one language, I mean the thing which underlies all languages is the language of heart. Swami says, whatever I speak, if my heart is not expressed, that is not language. If the heart, the feelings of the heart are not expressed. When Swami says feelings of the heart, again, not any feeling. Swami says Daya means compassion, love. Love should be expressed in our language. Only then it is fit to be called language. Okay, it is not the language, the external manifestation. It can be English, Hindi, Tamil, Gujarati, or French. That is all external manifestation, but the ingredient which gives it life is what comes from the heart. Okay, that's what it means. Again, the same thing with the religion also. Swami, if Swami says there's one religion, you can't say I don't want all religions. No, because the external manifestation of religion is either Christianity, Hinduism, Islam, and so on. They are needed. But the thing is, if they are there without love, then that religion, you are not practiced properly. It just doesn't have the life. Okay. So the same thing is about Sanskrit also. Sanskrit, Swami calls it Atma Bhasha, because that it brings out that what is within to its fullest extent. The divinity is manifested in its fullest extent in Sanskrit, Sanskritam. Okay, that is the reason it's called the mother of all languages, and it's capable of giving and feeding other languages. Okay, even all the Indian, because you should understand the languages which are not fully refined, they are called Prakrita. Prakrita means natural languages. All Indian languages are called Prakrita Bhasha, because that means they have not yet reached the stage of refinement which Sanskrit has reached. So that's the way the rishis defined. So we are just discussing that. Okay. The reality is the word Sanskrit itself came later on. The rishis never called it Sanskrit. It's only a few centuries ago the word, even the name Samskrita was given. Before it was called Bhasha, means speech. Bhasha means that which shines. So I will, that's too much philosophy, I guess. I will stop here. We have already covered 40 minutes. And you may think we have come to study Sanskrit and nothing is being taught about Sanskrit. So we are going to go into, see, I have written, if you can see here, the Devanagari script. I have written them, but I have also given you the transliteration. For some time, I'm going to use transliteration, maybe to a great extent. But at some point, I think we need to start learning Devanagari. I will see why it is important later on. Okay. So let's get into some, at least we should start something today in terms of the language itself. So we are going to go into alphabet of the language. So Devanagari is the Sanskrit, which is used also in Hindi, and many North Indian languages have a derivation of that Devanagari system of writing. So that's what we are going to use. There were other forms of writing Sanskrit which have not survived, or they're still around. There's something called Grantham and so on, but it's not as popular. It's only popular among some communities in the South India. But Devanagari is more universally used. Okay. A letter is called Akshara. Okay. We'll start with Akshara. Akshara means that which cannot be destroyed. Akshara. Kshara means something which can be destroyed, destruction. Akshara means that cannot be destroyed. Sound is something which cannot be destroyed. Once I speak, Swami says, anyone who speaks, that speech will remain in this space forever. It's never destroyed. So that is the power of sound. It's never destroyed. And a vowel is called swara. Swara means, swa means self. Ra means shine. Or so anything which without any help of anything else can shine, that's called swara. So vowel is swara. A consonant is called vyanjana. Okay. Some of this pronunciation will come later on, but for now, just listen. Okay. Consonant is called vyanjana. Okay. So swara, there are vowels are called swaras, and the consonants are called vyanjanas, and all of them together are called akshara. Okay. So it's called akshara, varna, mala. Akshara means letter. Varna means you can say various colors. Okay. So there are different manifestation of that letter. Mala means a collection, or we can also say it's a garland. Okay. So we are going to learn the garland of letters which the rishis has given us, who discovered Sanskrit or Samskrita. So we are going to start with, actually some of this may be very basic, but I would still like to go through, because we may say, oh, we know the letter, what is the point in learning this? Okay. So we should understand when we pronounce, there are 4 things which are important and we should pay attention to. Okay. A letter requires 4 aspects, any letter which we pronounce. The first one is called prayatnam. Prayatnam means effort. Okay. The second one is thanam. That means a position where the sound is produced. Balam is the strength which we exert in saying the letter. And kalam is the time. So there are 4 aspects, and we will cover them as we go along. So prayatna means the effort you make to change the shape of the mouth. Okay. And then you produce a sound from a particular point in the mouth. Then there's an amount of strength which you give, that is the breath. Whether you push the breath hard or you push the breath soft, slow, all that happens. The time is the duration for which you pronounce. Especially it applies to vowels. Okay. Is it short or long, and so on. Okay. So we are going to discuss what I call the short vowels. Okay. So as you can see, this is A. Okay. And E. There are 2 vowels which are not common in many languages, which is R and L. Okay. And U. Okay. These are short vowels. They're simple, the basic vowels in Sanskrit. Okay. And I have put these in certain positions, and you may wonder why it is. Because you can see the structure in which it has been developed is A, E, U, R, A, E, R, L, and U. Okay. So the progression of sound at different, actually the resonance of the vowel takes place in different parts of the mouth. So as you can see, they have covered the entire distance of the vocal cavity, mouth cavity, but the sound is resonated at different points, and we will see how they are resonated. Because this is very, very important, because all Sanskrit sounds are actually based on these positions. So I thought I will spend some time. So you all, because some of all, you will say, we can say A, we can say E, we can say U. Without our knowledge, we are actually pronouncing it. But if we become aware of how the sound is produced, then the way we pronounce the words will become completely, what comes out of that will be phenomenal. Okay. So I'm just going to talk a little more about the production of sound of these vowels. See, the vowels are called asprishta. Okay, as you can see, the word asprishta. Okay. So asprishta means touch. Asprishta means without touch. Okay. So the thing is, all vowels are produced without any mouth parts coming into contact with each other. Okay. No mouth part should become, they should be touched. So all vowels are called asprishta. Whereas consonants are called sprishta. That means they have contact. there are mouth parts coming into contact. And you may ask, why is it? Okay, we will discuss that. So even when we are producing vowels, there are changes which are happening in the mouth, which we may be not aware of. But I thought we will just go over that. Okay. For let's take A. The A sound is produced somewhere at the throat. But if you closely observe, the tongue, the end part of the tongue, somewhere close to the throat, actually it will be raised slightly to help the resonance of the sound A. Okay. A, A. So if you practice, you will see that tongue is slightly raised, but it does not touch the palate, the top part of the mouth. That is A. Then we come to what's called E. In E, what happens is the tongue actually sort of raised and is made parallel to the mouth cavity, but it does not touch E. You can analyze for yourself. Okay. Then this is a sound called R. Okay. So what happens is the tongue is actually bent, pointed upwards. Okay. But it does not touch. So if you want to understand R, if you say the word Ra, R, actually the tongue is sort of touching the palate. But R is the pointing there, but it is just vibrating at that point in time. So R. Okay. So you hold the tongue up and you push the air through and produce that vibrating sound, which is called R. Okay. It's not Ru, it's not Ri, which are sometimes mistakes which people make. It is R. So it's something like, R, something like that. Car. When you start a car, the car doesn't say Ru, it doesn't say Ri, it says R. So that's what we are producing. R. Okay. Then the next one is the tongue is near the teeth, where you say la, la, but la is said with the tongue touching the teeth, or just above the teeth, la. But here the tongue should not touch, and actually the tongue should vibrate. So sometimes people have pronounced it as r. Some R is also many people pronounce, but ideally that R should not be there. It should be okay, okay. And it's not la, it's so you keep it near the place where you say la, but the tongue should not touch. The air should just flow through. Okay, asprishta, without contact. Then we come to what's called U. The tongue is just flat, but the mouth, the lips form an O shape or U shape, if you want to say, and what comes out is U. Okay. So as you can see, sound, how it travels from back to front is shown here. Okay. I will now I will go to, so then we have covered what's called short vowels. A, E, U, R, L. Okay, so short vowels. That means you can say one matra or one beat, okay, of time. Then what are called long vowels. The long vowels means what changes is what's called kalam. Okay, this is what changes. Just so that I will so what changes is kalam. Okay, you just pay attention to the kalam. The sound production, everything is the same. The prayatnam, sthanam, balam is all same, but the kalam differs. So it becomes longer. A, E, R, L, and U. U. Okay, so it's long. All of them are longer. So double the amount of time of the short vowels. A, E, R, L, U. Okay. See, you should not worry too much about these two because they don't get used as much. Especially the L, you will never even come across. So, but it is just for the purpose of completeness, comprehensiveness, I have included them, but it's never used. Okay, you will never come across in your life. As far as R is concerned, the long one, you may come across that once or twice, but that also is not as often that you will come across. But the shorter one, the R, you will come across because Krishna. So this is something which is common. So you should pay attention to it. Okay. So now what we come to what is called diphthongs. Okay. The diphthongs are, we have looked at R and E, which all of you have seen, but then there are two letters which are called A and I. Okay. The A and I are actually a combination of R and E. Okay. So the sound is produced somewhere in between. Okay. A. Okay. A is R A. But when you say the A slightly with a slow, it's little bit slow, it's come I, E. So you can see R and E, R E. So that forms what's called I and A. Okay. So as you can see, they are called diphthongs. That means the two letters who have come together to form a certain sound. Two basic sounds. R is a basic sound, E is a basic sound. R and E together have come to produce what's called A and I. Okay. Similarly, there are two other words, other letters, which are also formed by combining R and U. Somewhere in the middle of R and U forms O. Good. Sorry. Some of my slides are not very good. So, OW, this word is OW actually. I apologize for it not being very accurately said, but I will touch that later. So what I just want to cover is U, A and U, OW, 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 OW. So that is the OW here. And O is also somewhere in between. I think all of you know Om. This is actually A, U, M. Okay, so that O is somewhere in the middle, it's produced. Okay, so they are called diphthongs because they are a combination of two distinct sounds, vowels. Okay. So then there are two other vowels which are also present in Sanskrit. Okay, one is called the visarga, two dots, it's like the colon. Okay, you may have seen it in Sanskrit literature. So which is pronounced generally as okay, which is air. Okay, and we will talk about how visarga is used in the language later on, but I think most Indian languages have that, which is actually blowing of air at the throat, from the throat. Okay, and then there is something called anuswara. So this is called visarga, and this is called anuswara. I think that names I will give you later in the next slide, but for now this is good enough. So anuswara means a nasal sound. You produce anything through the nose. So Om, that nasal sound is also called, because there's actually no touching. Means you're not touching anything, but you're producing a vibration in the nasal cavity. So that's called anuswara. That is also, so everything else was coming through the mouth, but nose you can't change the shape. So it's only one sound, but you can change a little bit through the mouth, but we'll come to that later. But anuswara is another vowel. Okay, so now we will look at all the vowels together. I hope you can see it clearly. I don't know how clearly you can see. So I have covered here, short. So this swara means plural of swara is swara, vowels. Okay. And these are the positions of where the sound is produced. Okay, guttural is the throat, A. Palatal is, at the top with the tongue. touching the, sort of coming parallel to the palate of the mouth, palatal E. Labial is U. What is produced here? U. Cerebral is the tongue pointing upwards. R. Dental means the tongue touching the teeth. L. Okay. So that is short and there is long. Okay. At each point, this becomes double the amount of time. A, E, E, U, U, R, R, L, L. Okay. And these are the diphthongs which I covered, which is A, means a combination of A and E. So you can see A here, E here. The combination of that is A. They come to produce A. I is A and E, A and A combined. And we'll come to that later, how that evolves. It's called I. Okay. O and OW. So the thing is, as you can see, all these four letters A, I, O, OW are considered long vowels. In many of the other Indian languages, there are short forms of A also. It's actually half A, you can say. A, we will say. But in Sanskrit, there's no short A. Okay, everything is long. When you say A, it's only long. Why it is long? Because there are two letters, two vowels who have come together. Okay, so half A or the short A is not present in Sanskrit. The same thing holds good for O. Okay, O is only long. There is no short form of O in Sanskrit. So in Tamil or in other languages, we'll say O, A. In Sanskrit, it's only A or O. Okay, you may say why then it's missing it. I think the rishis who did this research and come together, they have understood what it is. Okay, and this is the anuswara, as I put it here, visarga. Okay, these form the basic vowels of Sanskrit literature. Okay, so you can say there are 5 plus 5, 10, 14 plus 2, 16. Okay, so there are 16 vowels which are present in Sanskrit. Okay, so people may ask why there are short form, long form. So we should understand that in the system of energy in the body, each, there are chakras which are called Mooladhara, Swadhisthana. There are 6 chakras in the body. In the yogic philosophy, you will study that. So there is something in the throat chakra supposed to have 16 petals. Okay, and each of these sound actually energizes one of them. Okay, so the thing is, by saying these sounds, producing these sounds properly, actually there's a physical impact in our own body, because certain parts of the body can be repaired by just saying certain sounds, because the power of that vibration is so good, so much, that it will recreate, it will heal even our body by chanting certain mantras. So we should understand the mantras themselves have certain sequence of vibration which can have an impact on the body. So all these sounds, if they are practiced regularly, our throat chakra, which is connected to various parts of the body, is actually cleansed, because this chakra is called Vishuddha. Okay, that means it's purification. All purification has to happen in the throat. So these sounds are capable of producing the purification of our certain parts of our body. Okay, and the vowels are so important because they are the ones who give life to speech itself. So that is why the 16 are very, very important. And we will touch upon some of them at some point along the way. And I have one last slide, and I would cover that also, which is Om. Because we all know, though there are so many vowels, for the Om, It is that itself by it's a letter. Okay, it's an aksharam. Okay, but it's a combination of three sounds put together: a, u, and m. Okay, so the sound actually, when you say om, the sound has to travel, the vibration has to travel all the way here, and then it should go up. Oh, okay. So it should not be ah, um. That is why you don't say ah, No, you say om. That means the sound production starts here and slowly it should travel. And we should let the resonance move all the way. And when it completes the full length, then it moves up. So that is why Swami is particular how we chant Om 21 times, because each time we chant, actually one aspect of our own existence gets cleansed or cleared. I think that's something which we can discuss later. Why 21 times? What do they do to us? There is a lot of science in it. Swami has spoken about it here and there. But I think I thought I would just touch on them. So Om by itself is one sound. And the Om is supposed to be one of the akshara, which is in our Ajna chakra. This is called Ajna chakra, the ability to see anything, to understand anything. The third eye is actually symbolized by Om. Okay, there are three petals in our Ajna chakra. And the third one is actually Om, which is the most important part in our own body. That's why we, whatever we do, we start with Om, because it is by chanting the Om properly, this Ajna chakra, that the third eye, is supposed to open. Okay, that is why we chant 3 times Om. People may not understand the science. Okay, but the rishis have done a lot of research, and so by regular chanting of Om, our ability to understand, especially spiritual topics, will be enhanced immensely. So I would suggest that everyone takes up chanting of 21 Oms every day, because there's so much science in it. It will improve your ability to see and understand and grasp spiritual topics to an extent which cannot be explained. With those words, I am now going to open it up for you all to unmute and speak. Thanks for the patient listening of an hour. I hope I did not bore. I hope I didn't rush through too much. I would suggest, just for the sake of order, if you can put your hands up, I will be able to speak. Okay, I will be able to call upon you. I don't know, Sister Anita, I think somebody is sharing something. Sorry about it. I don't know what. Okay, just ignore it. Okay. Sister Vinodini Swokuman, you can.
Okay. I just wanted to know the lesson we had. Will it be on Google Classroom?
So the reason why you need to be in Google Classroom is each of the deck and presentation which I'm presenting here, I will be posting there.
Okay.
Okay. So then, if anyone wants to go through the material at your own leisure, you will have it, because I did not want to send emails every time.
Yeah.
So that is the reason I have asked all of you to sign up for Google Classroom. I would, sorry,
Okay, sorry about that.
Okay, so the thing is, what I would say is, if you join, enroll yourself in the Google Classroom, for me, it will become easy for me to distribute the material, because there are many handouts, if you want to say, I will like to distribute, and I would rather do it in the Google Classroom so anyone can download and read it. That way, distribution becomes very easy. I'm also hoping to post the link to the recording. This recording is going to be uploaded to the YouTube, and the link for that also will be provided there. So if anyone wants to again go through and listen, you have an opportunity, because there are many who are not going to, who may not be able to attend the class because of other reasons, but this will allow anyone to listen. So there will be material which I will post, as well as links to the YouTube videos there. So it will be easy for me to distribute rather than send emails to everyone each and every time. I hope you understand.
Yeah, I already registered at the Google Classroom.
Yes.
Thank you.
So there are a few questions. Anyone else? Okay, Sister Tharani, you can go ahead.
Sairam, brother, I have a question. You know, the I may be not telling correctly, but correct me if I'm wrong. Sapta Pramanji, Charashai Mai,
okay.
Joti Mai, and Van Mai.
Yes.
Those are, is that related to 5 elements?
So the 5 elements are coming, sister. They are related to the 4 elements. Actually, the Shabda Brahma.
Yeah, that's what my question, because it's only 4 coming. Yes. So one, okay, so that's one thing. And then other thing is Sapta Brahma Mai is like so Om, the vibration and sound.
Yes.
I thought, I don't know, I don't know, but it's the sound, the space is created with Om sound, right?
Yes.
Yeah, so I just want to clarify.
Yeah, so the creation took place with Shabda Brahmam, but at that stage, it's not even visible, it's not even heard.
Okay, all right. Okay.
So that's the original sound, sound which is not even, you can't even hear. Okay, no, so that's the point.
Okay, thank you.
Sairam. Yes, Sister Vani.
Sairam, brother. So, like, in this slide that you're showing, the Om, that there are 3 letters, but then on the top of the slide, the Om, how it's written, is not, is it the combination of all the 3 letters is written like that? Like, is
okay, thank you.
That's written separately, but it's all together? Like how?
So some people think it is a combination of letter, but actually it is one letter by itself. Okay, it's that is the only way Om is written. It's a completely distinct letter. Okay, it is by it has its own form. Okay, each of the part of the Om also has some significance. Maybe one day we will, because I did not want to go. It becomes a more philosophical discussion rather than a language discussion. I did not want to go into it. There's, if you look at the top, which is called, which is a crescent moon and a dot. Okay, that is called Ardha Chandra and a dot, Bindu. It's also called Chandra Bindu. I don't know whether any of you know Omkaram Bindu Samyuktam. So that Bindu is this. Bindu is actually, that itself is a complete philosophy. Bindu is the one original. God itself is actually a dot. Amrita Bindu, it's also called. That Bindu which never dies. This Omkaram sound has that which never dies. Okay. So it's a complete symbolism. So it is not, Om is by itself is one letter. It is not a combination of letters, but the sounds are combined and one form is there. Okay, I hope that answers your question.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you.
Okay, Sairam.
Sairam.
There are some questions on the chat. I will just read. I hope somebody wants me to chant Om. We will do that. Vyanjana means English. We have not touched Vyanjana yet, Saishan. Swara is vowel. Swara is vowel. Vyanjana is consonants. Both together are called Akshara. All of them combined is called Akshara. Akshara is a letter. I hope that answers your question. Somebody says YouTube. Okay, I think that's all so far. So I think
Swara, the swara is just vowel, or is it the pitch also? Does it mean pitch also, swara?
So in Sanskrit, words have multiple meanings. Okay, one word can have hundreds of meanings, depending on the context. So swara, the meaning of swara is the same, but where it's applied all can be variety of places. So the thing is, in Sanskrit, there is swara. Okay, people will say it's actual pitch. People will say shruti. Swara means even the swara is in music also. Sarigama, they are called different swaras, notes. So it's also used in that meaning also. But in this case, in terms of language, as it relates to language, swara means vowels. I hope that answer is. See, even in mantra sadhana, people they will say swara. The sadhana of swara sadhana also people say. That is a type of sadhana which is actually focusing and meditating on sound. But in this case, let us just stick to our Sanskrit as a language and its vowels. I hope that answers your question.
Yeah, thank you.
Short and long vowels are swara, yes. All vowels, sure. What is the dotted O? Okay, very good. Kalyan is asking what is dotted O. The dotted O can be replaced with anything. Okay, because the anuswara by itself doesn't come, generally. And if you ask me why, because usually im, so that is actually fill in the blank. Okay, Kalyani. But it does not have any meaning. Generally, the anuswara is preceded by another vowel. Okay, that's why that I have put that like that, where that's the way it's presented when I'm using software. But what exactly matters is the dot above, which is the anuswara. Okay, good question. I'm sorry. Sometimes it can be confusing with the tools which we use. Unfortunately, I'm doing a presentation, so I use the tools which are available for me. And so generally, the anuswara is also placed on top of a letter. Okay, always above the letter, anuswara is placed. So that is another reason. This is pointed. So its position is it's like a superscript. Okay, above the letter.
Thank you, Uncle. So is it just for vowels that you can add the anuswara and the visarga?
Yes, it is. Okay, but in Vedic places, there are some, they can also be placed over what is called anunasika consonants. We will touch that when we come to consonants. But I would say for the time being, you say it is it generally follows a vowel. Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. I think those are the only questions I've had so far. I think someone wanted Om to be, talked about. So let's talk about Om. One second. Okay. So Om, Swami always says Om should be chanted with sound starting at the back of the mouth. Then you should feel the vibration travel along your palate, along this path. And when it comes to U, then you close the mouth, and then the vibration should travel up. Okay. So it should start with So basically the vibration continues and the mouth is kept open. When you reach U, you close the mouth and it should travel up. So ultimately we should feel the vibration in our mouth. It should should start So we should be able to feel the vibration going all the way. You close the lips and you should feel the vibration moving up. So practice it. Is ultimately how much ever I say, you all have to experience it yourself. Okay, just sit and say it slowly. You can see how the mouth slowly closes. The mouth cavity changes and it closes and the sound is pushed up. Okay, and so this is ultimately, there's one entire Upanishads on Om. Okay, if you want to discuss Om. So if we master Om, Swami says you don't need to study anything, you don't need to do any other sadhana. Okay, so you can see the word, the letters used. Then another thing which Swami says is the sound should increase in volume and decrease in volume. By the time it comes here, it should have increased to the maximum, then it should reduce. So Swami always gives us it should be like a plane. You hear a plane coming from a distance. And when it comes closer, it becomes louder, louder, louder. And then it goes past. Okay. So it's actually creation, maintenance, and destruction. All three are shown here. Something which originates, it lives, then it slowly grows older, and then it dies away. That is the way our own life is actually Om. We are children, we start out, then we become adults, we are very active, then the energy levels go down, and then we merge. So Srishti, Sthiti, Layam, as Swami says. Creation, generation, operation, and dissolution. All these are, this is life. Life itself is, we should know, we are all born, we live, and then we die. Everything in this world is symbolized by Om. After that, there is silence. So another thing which people have to understand is Om not only consists of these three, it also consists of silence. So between one Om and the next second Om, there should be another set of amount of time which should be silent. So if you know, maybe I will say another story which Swami has spoken about. See, there is a Brahma. I don't know whether you know the story. I think we have no questions, so I will tell the story. I think in especially South Indian people who pray to Subramanya or Murugan, or Skanda, know the story. See, apparently one day Subramanya was playing. He's a small kid, he was playing in Kailash, and Lord Brahma happened to come. So the Subramanya, sometimes youngsters, they think they know a lot, they ask questions from adults. So it's something like that. So when Brahma came, he asked him, what do you do? Who are you? So he said, I'm Brahma. He said, what do you do? He said, I am responsible. I'm the person who is responsible for creation. It is so, you are doing creation. So do you know the meaning of Om? He asked him. And Brahma didn't know the meaning of Om. He was just, because he is only responsible for A. So he doesn't know who and Om. So he asked him, tell me the meaning of Om. He said, I don't know. Then he said, okay, then what's the point in you having 4 heads? The story goes, he just plucked one of his head and threw it away. So he was quite annoyed. This small kid is, not giving me respect as an adult. And, I am responsible for such a, such a role in this world. And this kid, just because his father is a big shot, he's trying to act smart. So he was very, very upset. And, when Lord Shiva came, he complained to him, apparently. This fellow did this to me. Then Lord Shiva asked, why did you do this? He said, he didn't know the meaning, so I did it. So then Lord Shiva asked him, do you know the meaning? Then he says, of course I know the meaning. So then he says, okay, tell me. Then he says, I just cannot tell you. If you are not like only a student can learn from someone who knows. So you need to take the position of a disciple. Only then I can teach you. So Shiva said, okay, I will sit down as a student and you explain. So the story goes that he taught the meaning of Om to Lord Shiva. So that's why it's called Guru Para. Subramanya is called Guru Para. Para means Shiva. Guru, the Lord is the teacher of Shiva himself is Subramanya. Tamils like to say this because, the person who we are praying to is many Tamils pray to Murugan or Subramanya, and they think, say, we are superior to people who even pray to Shiva. Anyway, jokes aside, what exactly means is Brahma is supposed to have 4 heads. Okay. A is 1 head, U is another head, is another head. The fourth head is not even visible. So if Subramanya plucked it and threw means he just told him there is an aspect which is not even manifest, which is not even present. So meditate on that which is not even coming out. Okay. So it's called Akara, Ukara, Makara. And the last one is Anahata. Anahata means that which is not struck. That sound is not even heard. So there's a sound which always remains in this world unheard. For example, I have my phone here. The phone is, of course, when somebody calls, it will ring. But, but the sound was always there. When the signal comes, the sound comes out. Otherwise, the sound was always in that. Any object you drop, the sound, you put it down, you hear the sound. So that means the sound was there in its unmanifest state. Okay. So even in Om, we should understand there's an unmanifest sound and we should meditate on that. So Akara, Ukara, Makara, and then silence. You need to contemplate and meditate on that silence. So Om, actually, there is four phases to the Om. So we'll just chant once, a few times, maybe Om. We start here, we go around along the palate, and then we go up. The sound increases in volume and it comes down. Okay, it starts slow, it has to go up, and then it has to end. And then we wait in that mode of silence for the same amount of time. So if you divide Om into 4, one part Wa, one part U, one part the last part is silence. Okay, so we will just practice that because these are considered waking state, dream state, deep sleep state, and also Turiya Avastha, Swami, the fourth state of awareness. Okay, the silence actually is present in all stages, but we just contemplate on it at the last part. Okay, so we'll start with Om. We'll chant about 3 times. I hope that's good enough today, and then we will close if it's okay.
One more question.
Yes, brother. Yes, brother, you have a question. Yes.
Yeah, Sairam, brother. Are we going to learn how these letters are written, from where to start and where to
finish? So, brother, you are right. Today is just an introduction of the vowels. Okay, I am going to go through my next few sessions. I will show how each letter is written in Devanagari, and we will read each of the letters. And I will also provide some materials which you can print and practice at home. I have the material, so that is one reason I wanted everyone to be on Google Classroom. It's easy for me to. So you will have an opportunity to learn and practice.
Thank you, Sairam. Thank you.
But today I have not started it, so I am not going to provide you the materials today. But in the subsequent classes, we will do that.
Yes, thank you, Sairam.
Thank you, brother. Actually, I put a message, it went to some others.
Oh, I see. I didn't see that message.
Oh, yeah, it went to Barney. So thank you. Actually, it is very, very, what I say, astonishing. The way you introduced and all the vowels. And you are so magnanimous and you are so generous. You came forward to teach us, and I think we cannot pay you. Thank you enough, I think. Thank you, sir.
So brother, there's something called Rina. Rina means something called debt. There's something called Rishi Rina. Rishi means we owe a debt to the Rishis. So see, I learned all this free of cost. There were 3 teachers who spent a lot of time teaching me. Okay, they went out of the way to spend, especially the teacher who taught me in my +2, that is pre-university and university. He was so magnanimous. Actually, he came to me and asked, Arun, I want you to join MA Sanskrit. He's ready to teach, but no course even. He said, why don't you ask Swami? we will start a Sanskrit department in the college. You know, he was that, I used to spend a lot of time with him. And so I feel I have to pay back that debt of a person who has already learned and shared that with me. It gives me an opportunity, whether you all listen or not, me preparing the material and spending time is my way of paying back to my own teacher, who out of immense love shared what he know. And of course, in the YouTube also, I've learned from so many people. So I'm just sharing what I have learned. It is not, you know, nothing is mine here. It is just, of course, I put in some effort, which is actually an offering at their feet, at all the gurus who taught me. It is my offering to their feet, and it's an offering to Swami. You know, it is, if you all benefit, it is blessings you receive from the Lord. This is a way knowledge has been kept alive in this world. By just studying itself, we are keeping it alive. Because in some way or small way, we will share it with others. So it is an opportunity for me to share. And after so many years, I would say 50 years of learning, Swami has given me an opportunity to share. That's the way I look at it. Because sometimes even to share, one needs to have opportunity. And you all are actually doing me a great service, because without you, there's no class. So you are equally contributing to this, because your love for the Swami, love for the language, love for learning has made it possible for me. So I think I am also grateful to all of you sitting and patiently listening to me, however defective or limited what I am presenting is. Sairam.
Yeah, thank you, brother. In the another question, not question actually, the diphthongs, the I and A diphthongs also coming under vowels, no? All 16.
Yes.
These two, it's so short vowel, long vowel, and diphthongs. All yes. 3 make up 16 vowels, you say, correct?
Yes, brother. You know, yes, all of them make, see, 5 short vowels.
Yeah.
5 long vowels of those basic vowels.
Yeah.
So that makes it 10.
10 and 10 and 4.
Then there are 4 diphthongs.
Yeah.
And then there are 2 special vowels, which are and h. So all these put together forms 16.
Sorry, okay. So the Anuswara and Visarga is neither diphthongs nor vowels. It's something.
Yes, exactly. Okay, they are just sound production.
Yeah.
They can be either long or short, but generally they are short.
Okay.
Okay. But they are a special category by themselves.
Yeah. Thank you very much.
Okay. I will post this and you all can take time and go through. And if there are questions, you can email me. You can call me or email me, but you know, I would rather, you know, sometimes when you have questions, if I answer here, others who may have had the question also will benefit. So I would like to answer questions here. If you have questions, you email to me, and if I feel they are worth spending time here, I will do it here next week, and that's the way we'll proceed. I hope the format is okay for you all. 1 hour of talk and half an hour of Q&A. Then maybe if there are so many questions, maybe I will dedicate 1.5 hours just for question and answers. We will see how it progresses. I'm hoping to have about 39 sessions. I hope to cover whatever I can within that time, because I don't want an indefinite stream, you know, course timeline. But we will see how it evolves. I hope you all benefit in some way or other. Okay. I think there are some more comments. I will just go through. I will just can you please give simple words? So I'm going to, you know, the words I will be introducing. Okay. Today is just an introduction to the vowels. Do not worry. You know, we are going to spend a lot of time in sound, you know, practicing the sounds. I'm going to come up with words which will combine these vowels. So we will be doing that. So that's what I would say. So yes, I have planned out, because fortunately there were not only 2-3 years ago, another Sanskrit lesson also has been going. Some of this material I had prepared with a few people who individually approached me. So actually, I'm, some of it I'm just recycling the material. So I've planned out a few sort of lesson plan for the next few weekends, and you will be going through writing, simple words, pronunciation. It may be, I don't know, some of you may already know and may find it a bit too slow, but I hope you all will bear with me. I hope it is not too basic and too slow for some of you. But I thought I would do it in such a pace which everyone can benefit, even little bit. Okay, Saira. It's 10:30, so I'm just going to chant Om 3 times slowly, and then we will close with Samastaloka and Shanti. Thank you very much for joining. Swami has started with a good note. I hear today a very auspicious day, and hopefully the journey continues. Saira.
Thank you, Saira.
You are muted. We can't hear you.
Samastaloka Sukhino Bhavantu. Samastaloka Sukhino Bhavantu. Samastaloka Sukhino Bhavantu. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Sairam, everyone.
Sairam, Sairam. Thank you, Sairam.
Sairam.
Thank you, Sairam. Sairam.
Thank you, Saira.
Thank